welcome to On the Rise, the Creative Pulse. I'm your host, Antonio Bocanegra II. Welcome to this live stream dedicated to showcasing rising creatives in various fields, offering a front row seat about their journeys, passions, and the essence of their crafts. Today's special guest is a rising film director who has produced various film projects and has won various awards. We'll be showcasing their work and getting a behind the scenes look towards their projects. Let's now bring in our special guest, Paula Navarro. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hi.
So thank you for joining us today. And let's start off with you introducing us to our audience and telling us how your journey as a rising film director has been so far in your career.
Yeah, of course. So, I've been creating and producing film content, video content since my freshman year of high school. I really got into it though my senior year and realized it was something that I wanted to pursue further. So I went to college for film, which sounds a little, weird to some people, but I learned a lot more than just film in film school, which was really cool. It's really about like the people as well. I met our host in film school, so I mean, making good connections, networking, pretty important. Uh, Other than that, all of my projects that I've done have really been like for the group. So it's really been about the people I've met. It's like our goal to create stuff. So it's not really been just me soloing these things.
Mhm.
Um, it's really a collaborative thing, I think.
So it's really nice to see that we have a great group of people within, I guess you would say, in our tight knit of film crew, and
Yeah.
that we've been able to produce these stuff. So it's great to see. So before we talk a little bit more, let's talk about your projects. So let's start talking about what you've produced so far. And I think that's one of the things you've already produced is a short film called To the End. So could you give us maybe a synopsis of the short film before we play it to our audience?
To the End is about two friends who are kind of the will they, won't they friendship. So it's kind of about that tension in that sort of situation. Um, yeah, and it doesn't end the best for all parties involved, as it usually doesn't.
So when did you produce this and how long did it take for you to produce it before we play
So,
it?
To the End was a really cathartic explosion, artistic explosion for me. So, I wrote the script, I want to say 2, 3 days. And we filmed the project in like a week. So it was really quickly made and produced. We're just trying to reach a deadline for a specific festival for a specific reason. Um, so yeah, it was just really emotionally charged. So it was very quick in its execution. Uh, Probably one of the first things that I actually was really proud of the emotion that I put into it. So yeah, it was very quickly produced.
So I guess let's start watching the films. Just a fair warning to our audience, just because of the time constraints that we have, we're going to show just a small portion of it. And then if you really want to watch the whole thing, it's available on Paula's YouTube channel. So let's start watching the short film.
What were you calling it again, Nate?
What?
The title. What is it?
Mm.
That bad, really?
No, it's not that bad. I don't like it. You know I'm not good with titles. Can you help me think of something though?
What was yours?
The ending.
Poetic.
Rude.
Seriously though, why did you choose it? It's a little on the nose, isn't it?
I told you I don't like it. I'm not good with titles. Can you help me think of one? If not, I'll probably just change it later on anyways.
You won't. You never do. You'll hate it forever and then comment about how you wish you changed it before screening the damn thing.
Well, what's your suggestion?
The ending's a little bit too film student for me, but I like the direction you're going with. What about to the end?
Poetic.
Dipshit. You didn't have to use that. I was just saying.
I know. I like it. It's better. I'm stealing it.
I'm excited to read the whole thing. Seems like it could actually be a pretty good story. I'm down to help, obviously, if you need it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I already planned on having you help out.
So how's
about
Britt?
the...
Sorry.
Are you hungry?
Starving, actually.
I'll drive.
Sick.
So what'd you think of the script? Be honest.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Oh, you hate it. You always get super touchy
Nate,
when you don't
stop.
like
I don't hate it, okay?
Yes,
Just listen for a second, okay? It's not the worst thing I've read. It's just... It feels like you have a story in mind, but you're not even sure if you want to tell it. I can feel your indecision when you're writing. I mean, obviously it's a new script, and that might add as to why it feels like that, but I don't think that's the whole reason. You gotta just go for it and tell a different story. Either one. It'll work out. You'll make it work out. I always know you did.
Yeah, maybe.
I wish I could just shake you and make you see how fucking capable you are. If either of us made it out of this, I never doubted it would be you. Not once. I'm excited to see what you do.
Lame. I'm gonna go feed your fries to the duck.
Can ducks eat potatoes, or is that like rice for birds?
You know, I'm not sure, but I hope they explode.
Nate!
Hey, Britt. No, yeah, dipshit is feeding my food to some birds. No, yeah, we were working on that thing, and then he wanted to show me a different script he was working on. I found him. Well, it's nice talking to you. Are you... You're so weird about her. Months with this girl, and I know nothing about her. We hang out every single day, and I met her once in passing on accident. It's so fucking weird. I practically gave him a presentation on Danny the one time we went on a date, and he can't even properly introduce me to his fucking girlfriend.
You just talking to ducks? You're mad. I get it. That was rude of me. I'm just not used to someone else answering my phone. Sorry.
I don't get it.
Get what?
Why you don't bring her around more? What, do you think I'll embarrass you? What is it?
No, it's not that. I don't know. She's just busy. Look, I actually got to get going here in a second. Are you ready to head out?
Yeah. What up?
I don't know, Claire. I know he's like your best friend or whatever, but I still don't like him.
Well, you haven't even spoken to him often enough to know that.
I know he's the guy who lied and said he was alone when his friend asked who he was with at that one party. We were literally standing right next to him. Even his friend looked confused, especially when you walked off and Nate started following after you.
After us.
After you. He was there to see you.
Lily, it's not like that.
You're so blind. It's actually sweet how much faith you
So
have
while
in
we
the
let this
process.
play in the background, can you tell us a little bit more
Fine, asshole.
behind the scenes that
He is
this
my
project
friend.
has really
Okay,
impacted you and your team
Claire.
while producing it?
He treats you differently when it's just
Of
about
course.
you. You
So
said yourself.
I haven't watched this in quite a while. I don't really like to watch
Like,
things
for
back that I've
example,
made.
how
So seeing this now, it's it's enlightening. I
I
thought at the time that my references to a situation that had happened that kind of inspired this short film, I thought they were a little more subtle But I think it was pretty obvious how emotionally driven this project was. And I think because it was so emotionally driven and I wanted to get it done in time for a specific thing, the team kind of felt that as well. So there was a bit of pressure on all of us, I think. My cinematographer signed on like 4 days before we filmed. My actor, the one in the green shirt here, Lily, I believe she signed on like day before. I sent her the script like the day before. It was very quick. I'm actually like very proud of the work that they did and the job that they did with the time that they had. If I could go back and do it differently, I don't know if I would, just because of the things that I learned during the process. It was very much learning on the job, and as we went.
Hmm.
So I'm good with the way that this turned out, for what it was.
Do you think you could maybe create another short film, like continue on the storyline, or maybe create a feature film based on this?
So I've gotten that question before, actually. A couple of people that knew the situation and what inspired the short film kind of asked me if I wanted to keep going with it and make another part. Um, I think I'm good leaving the story where it is. I think we're good leaving them unknown. We don't know if they're gonna make up later on. It's fine. Like that's the way real life is, right?
Yeah,
Closure, I don't
exactly.
know. I don't know if it's as common as people would like to think. So I think they're good where they are, and that story ran its course.
Well, thank you for sharing that short film. We'll leave it there. And hopefully, if you want to continue on seeing it, it's available on Paula's YouTube channel. So I guess next, let's talk about your second project that you kind of made, and that it is a music video. That music video is called Firebird. So can you give us a synopsis of the music video before we play it to the audience?
So Firebird is about this witchy woman, and her sort of supernatural hold on her lover, and his struggle with that, and her continuing on the toxic cycle with someone else.
Interesting. I guess we'll keep it like that, and hopefully the audience will see for themselves. So we'll play it, and then we'll talk about the behind the scenes about the project.
I'm a night rider and I'm all alone. Can you feel me in your bones? I'm a forest fire, can't put out my flame. Am I welcome in your home? Stationary, I'm paralyzed. Can you tell me where to go? Location varies, where they lie. Can you tell me where to go? I'm a night rider, I'm a ghost rider. I'm breezing through the night. I'm a night rider, I'm a ghost rider. I'm fighting for my life. black magic, ignited by a spark. Now I'm riding on the static. Can you keep up? No, I can't be contained. Don't be absurd, don't you walk in the rain, 'cause I'm a night rider. I'm a ghost rider. I'm breezing through the night. I'm a night rider. I'm a ghost rider. I'm fighting for my life. I'm a night rider. I'm a ghost rider. I'm breezing through the night. I'm a night rider. I'm a ghost rider. I'm fighting for my life.
Well, that is the music video. Like, I'm impressed on how everything was able, we were able to produce this music video because if our audience doesn't know, but also behind the scenes with Paula with lighting. So could you tell us more about kind of what made us be able to produce this music video in the first place?
Okay, so back in my high school days, a friend of mine was just starting up his band, and I was just starting to get really into video making. And it was kind of one of those things where you're young and you're like, your pals are talking about their dreams. And we were talking about his band and my video making. And I was like, hey, dude, your band's going to make it and you're going to make music and it's going to be great. And I'm going to get to a place one day where I can make music videos for you and they're going to look so cool. And I finally got to that place where I thought, I have never done a music video before, but I know how to produce videos and create that sort of look, So I did. I reached out to him, and I said, "Hey, I'm ready to make this for you if you're down to let me use one of your songs." And he was, and so I started to pre-produce everything. I actually had inspiration pictures lining my walls in my room for like a month or two before we actually shot, just so I could live with the video in my head. So once we were there, I would know what I wanted. So yeah, it was a couple years in the making if you want to think of that conversation in high school as like the start of this music video.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So with the music video itself, so it took us, I think, 2 to 3 days, if you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
But it was jam-packed. We were outside day one, and then day 2 and 3, we were in the studio. So tell us more about that aspect of the behind the scenes from this project.
So I had a vague idea of how long it was going to take us to film this sort of stuff. Um, so my scheduling was vaguely correct. There was about 30 minutes to an hour of us like actually needing to extend time, just because there were extra shots that I hadn't planned for. That the cinematographer Nat Connor, he pointed out, like, he was like, hey, he makes music videos often, so he pointed out that, hey, I think you should get this shot, this certain thing for each of the actors where they're lip syncing to music. That wasn't originally thought out as part of the pre-production process. It was just Nat who suggested that, and I was skeptical at first because I couldn't really envision that. But in the edit, when I was working through all the footage and stuff, it really did work. So Firebird was like a huge collaboration between all of us. I think lighting, especially. The lighting was different in my head, a little different. We tweaked the colors on set because it just worked better with the environment we were in. The smoke machine, that was fun. I had never worked with a smoke machine before. So that was a learning experience to realize just how full the car could get of smoke, and how quickly that could happen. So it was very much figuring out as we went things that I'd never worked with before. So we would have to wait for the smoke to dissipate for some shots because we couldn't see the actors from the camera. So yeah, it was a really cool collaboration between a lot of creative people.
I know you mentioned the smoke. I know for one of the scenes I had to be inside the car putting the light in one of the actors' faces, and then just the smoke machine just right next to me. So it was like pulling all this smoke in front of my face while I just had to stay still and make sure I wasn't messing up the shot. But that's kind of what it is for filmmaking. But can you now tell me a little bit more about the editing process? Because ultimately this project was created for a class which was called digital editing. So let's talk about that aspect.
So editing was not difficult. It was new to me because I'd never had to edit to a beat before. It was always just short films, and you put in the music after. You find what fits the scene. So having the music as the foundation for the video was a little different. It was actually pretty interesting because some of the shots would line up a lot better than others. So what I had in my head changed a little bit as the music was I was editing to the music. So it came out as I envisioned it, about like it's 80% to the thought I had in my head. That 20% was just like creative freedom, I guess, and everyone's input as we were filming it. They gave a lot of good input. So editing, I was thinking of what everyone was saying, and then that shot that Nat had suggested ended up in the final edit because it worked better when I was putting it together in the edit. So it was really cool to experiment with different shots and putting them in different places, and that kind of helped me tell the story a little differently than I had originally planned to, but it worked out really well, I think.
So with this project, do you plan to submit this to film festivals just to showcase the craft that you were able to build? Because I know ultimately this was an amazing project that we were able to create as a team.
Yeah, actually, that shot right there of Victoria with like all that stuff on the table, me and a friend of mine, Isabella Castillo, we went to Goodwill and we actually found all that stuff. So that was another like cool little tidbit of information. Like I pictured the altar, but I didn't picture like exactly what was going to be there. So going and exploring to see what they had there and building it like the day before we went to film, a few days before, that was cool.
Well, speaking of building, can you talk a little bit more about the production design that goes into making things like this, especially for a music video?
Oh, okay. Yes. So when I was like in pre-production for this video, I knew that because I wanted such intricate lighting, we were gonna have to be somewhere where we could hone the lighting. So outside was a little difficult. I didn't want them to just be in the parking garage. The car was kind of a method of kind of keeping the light focused in a area, so we could really highlight that aspect of the video. And then in the studio, I wanted it completely dark. I wanted the lighting to be crazy cool, and I wanted that to be the only thing we could see was the light on the actors. So I had to account for that when when I was doing pre-production. So yeah.
So ultimately, it was a fun project for us to work on, and I really appreciate for you having me involved in the project. And ultimately, I think your vision was really clear and well executed.
Yeah, That question you had about the film festival, I have
Yes.
entered the video into the film circuit. For those of you who might not know, Heatwave Film Festival is a local film festival to SHSU, and I have entered that video into that recently. So yeah, it has entered the film circuit.
Perfect. So hopefully we'll see if it wins some awards. That's for sure. So now let's talk about your next project that I worked with you as well, and we also had our friend Charles involved as well. And it's a spec ad commercial project called Work of Art. So ultimately for that project, the goal was to showcase the Mexican culture while showcasing Tony Lama boots. And thankfully, ultimately, the project received Sam Houston State University's first ever Lone Star Emmy College Student Production Award. So, getting an award for this project, how do you feel that we did in accomplishing our goal in producing this film project?
I think we did amazing. Yeah, beyond amazing, really. It was really a small project that I don't think if we hadn't really applied ourselves and gone the extra mile, I don't think we would have, had such success with it. So we were a really good group to get together. Being the first time that we actually ever genuinely like worked with each other, for
Mhm.
it to end up being something so successful was really cool. Yeah, it was amazing. We did
So,
amazing.
before, yeah, of course, right? So, before we showcase it, just to let our audience know, we produced this for a class called Studio Production at Sam Houston. And I think overall it was well executed. So, let's play it and then we'll talk about it. So now let's talk about the project. I think it was a really well executed project, and it being like a commercial within like less than a minute. That's kind of crazy, and for us to be able to create this piece of work. So tell us more about your side of perspective on creating this project.
So I think we all had our own little like sections that we worked on. Meeting Anna Garza, our lovely dancer, was really cool. I had no like real experience with dancers as talent, so it was really cool to go in the studio with her and kind of see her work, to see like what room she had in our studio to work with, and to be there as she worked out like, oh, I can do this dance, I'll have this room, I'll probably wear this, to see how that informed her decision on like how to perform was really cool, and to give her input on like, oh, the lighting will be here, we'll probably fill this with smoke so your dress will like be blowing it. It was really cool experience to work on that aspect of things. um I just want to give a quick shout out to Antonio, our host, because without him, well, none of us would have gotten that award, because we had no clue, if it weren't for him, that even existed.
Yeah, I know. For me, re- I was able to apply and receive these awards for my undergrad, and I was shocked to hear that Sam Houston didn't do the same thing. So I was like, you know what, this was a great piece of work that we did together, and I felt like it was for sure going to win an award, and it really did. So we actually did a photo shoot yesterday in the studio with the awards, and I should have brought the pictures here, but I didn't. But ultimately, it was just fun for us to collaborate. But let's talk about the challenges that we faced. It was, I think, a 2 day production, or I think 1 day production, but it was mostly figuring out the kinks and all that stuff. And I think it was mostly lighting. So if you want to mention that aspect of lighting, because we use a lot of lights in the project.
Yeah, so Charles was really the lighting guy. So it was him playing around with what lights worked and what didn't. Um, he would ask us, he would show us something, he'd be like, "You guys think that's good?" And we'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, that's awesome." So it was really just Charles playing around in there and being like, "That works. Does that work? What do y'all think?" It was really cool when he pulled up that lighting specifically. I think once we all saw that, we were like, "Okay, this is it. This is what we're gonna use."
I think the lighting really helped out, even using the colors of the Mexican flag, using red, white, and green, just overall helped pop up basically the theme that we're trying to execute. And I also like the close-up shots that we did. So tell us a little bit more on how it was using the camera, because we all used I think a red camera. So how was your aspect of that working in for this film project?
So I had never used a red before, so that was pretty cool. The image was just like I kept like focusing so hard on it that I would just like kind of forget that I was supposed to. I would be like, "Oh, that looks so cool," and then I'd just be moving it back and forth. But yeah, it was a really cool experience to work with one of those, especially the way we had it rigged up. That made things like so much better, I think.
Mhm.
It was pretty amazing. I would definitely want to work with one of those again.
Definitely. I think it really kind of showcased the quality that we're trying to get, and also allowed us to showcase the smoke that we use. So I guess this is our second project that we use smoke in our projects. I think that's kind of a theme, and I guess your projects that you want to
Yeah.
make. But how was that working with the smoke machine? Because it was kind of a little bit different on this aspect.
Oh yeah. So with lighting that you want to use that's pretty creative, I think to really showcase it, you got to have some aspect of the haze to really highlight the lighting. That was more prevalent in the work of art, I believe, because we had those beams coming down.
Mhm.
So if we really wanted those to show, whoa, knocked on my mic, sorry. If we wanted those to show, we had to like fill the entire room with the haze.
Mhm.
So that was an experience. It smelled like vape, honestly, and my clothes just wound up smelling like that for a while after, and that was interesting.
Yeah, I think it was fun just to play with the smoke. But also, like, we are trying to breathe at the same time while producing this. So it was just kind of crazy how we were able to manage it. But ultimately, this project was, I think, well executed, as I mentioned earlier, and ultimately kind of is a testament to what we're able to produce as filmmakers. I think you have a good, strong toolkit on your end, and I'm the same, and Charles does too. And for us being able to work together, I think we've been able to accomplish a lot of things here at Sam Houston, and hopefully we get to work with each other once we graduate. That's the key goal. So I guess that is it with all the work that you produce. So before we end the show, let's get some questions from our audience. So I do see here, right now I'm not able to pull it up on the system, but ultimately I can see here that there are some people that have responded through YouTube. So we have our first question from Mia, and she said, "What was your favorite project to work on?"
Ooh, my favorite project to work on so far, and this is just because everyone was so like down and willing to do the work and really open to the environment we were in,
Mhm.
because you don't always get that on a film set. Some people are just not as open as other people can be. So I'm gonna have to say Firebird, because Firebird was so like collaborative and people were so kind and they were willing to go the extra mile and stay the extra 30 minutes to an hour, which was really cool.
Yeah, I know for me, I during the time I lived in Porter, so I had to commute an hour and an hour back. So I was like, Paula, please, like, I'll be there for you, but still, like, you're just being mindful. I have to go back home for the day,
Hmm.
and or you allowed me to sleep over at a friend's place. So that's what we also did as well. So it's all the challenges that you have to face when you're producing a project like this, and that's incredible. So our second question is also comes from Mia, and she says, "What do you think is the most important part of filmmaking?"
Ooh, most important part. I think you have to be invested in what you're doing, because especially starting out, it's very time consuming. You got to put your own money into it. You got to put your time into it. You really have to, and this is going to sound so cliche, you have to like bleed for what you're doing. So you have to I think you just gotta like throw yourself into it, you know? Yeah, yeah. I think that would probably be the most important thing, because if you have someone just making something to look good and they're not passionate about it, it's not going to land as well as someone who's really feeling the project, you know?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
passion is very important.
So while if anyone who's watching our live stream wants to ask more questions, let me actually talk about some comments that people mentioned about when they were watching the videos. So we have here one from Matthew saying that he liked the use of different gender love interests. That's cool. So I believe he's referring to the Firebird music video. So can you maybe touch a little bit more about that aspect?
So I really wanted to, going into it, I knew that I wanted someone who wasn't like the traditional love interest, especially when we're starting out with a male-female relationship. Um, just because I wanted something that felt authentic to not only me but the artist as well, the musician. And we're both people who are very like supportive and kind of involved in those sorts of in that representation, right? We want to add that representation into what we do, because we don't want to be like just another, you know, putting whatever sells in our videos. We want something that actually means something to us to be in those videos, and representing those people and minorities and specific stuff like that. Even the Tony Llama with the Mexican culture, like that's my culture and I wanted to represent that. So that's why I was so into that project. So yeah, I just wanted to put more representation into my work, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
think that's what us as filmmakers should strive to accomplish at the end of the day. So our next question we have is from Michael. How long did it take you to edit one piece? Do y'all share the editing process of the projects throughout your processes?
So for Firebird, I don't think I showed the edit to anyone that wasn't in my class where I had to show the edit. So for that class, we had to check in with everyone and get feedback. So I did have a couple people give me feedback on what they thought worked, and asked questions on where I was going with it. So that was the only feedback I received then for that video. But the Tony Law one, Charles showed us a couple of edits, I believe. He wanted our input as he was going through. So it really depends on the project. Yeah.
Yeah, I know for sure for the music video, I did leave some comments for you because ultimately we were in the same class, and overall, I think it was great. I think it was just some minor things that were involved in editing that I think you fixed back once we gave your comments, and then as long and also with the work of art project. I know Charles did a really great job on putting it together, and we also had our own comments because first off, I think the video was about 2 or 3 minutes long. And also when we showed the class, they were like, I think that's just too much for a commercial. So that's why we had to bump it down to a minute to a minute 45, a minute to or 45 seconds. And that was kind of a long task to what to take off because we did shoot a lot of stuff in the studio for work of art. But ultimately, I think it really came out really nicely. So let's see, we have our final one with Matthew again, and he says, would you ever film another music video? And if so, what would the concept be?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually have thought about that because the artist who I did Firebird for actually kind of hinted at maybe wanting another video later on. So I would either, I know a couple musicians, and if they asked and they were like, "Hey, come up with this concept for this song," I would probably take a swing at it, you know, give them my idea. But it would depend on the song for the concept, of course, because I can't, you know, definitively say, "Oh, I would do this thing for that video," if unless I know the song. But if I were to do one, it would probably be for one of my friends. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing, Paula. So before we end our show, I'm going to also mention Bella's comment as well. It correlates with this, but can you tell us any upcoming projects that you're working on so far?
Of course. So my graduation date is coming up, and to graduate, I have to do a capstone, which is like a final project to round out your time at the school, to showcase like you know what you're doing. So I'm probably going to, and I say probably, but I'm most definitely working on my first ever feature length. It's going to be called Slice. I have the script mostly down. Yeah, it actually was born of To the End because people kept asking me if I was going to expand it. So I took a swing at it. I tried to. It wound up being something completely different. It morphed into Slice. Um, so it's completely different than To the End. Characters are different. Storyline is different. It just started off there, and turned into something mostly about grief. So it's got a bit of a heavier theme. I'm really excited to get that started, to start filming that probably next semester.
Okay, so how long do you think it's going to take you to film the whole feature film? Because it's a lot for a feature film to film.
Yes. I want to say I'm going to start filming pretty early in the semester. I want to give myself 3 months to film, and a month to edit. But that's probably going to shift and change. But I do want to give myself a couple months to film. Yeah.
So if anyone is joining our live stream is interested in being behind the scenes or being an actor, hey, you can contact Paula via social media, and hopefully you all can work on this project together. But is there any other projects besides Slice that you're working on, or just Slice for now?
Currently, I'm also assisting one of my professors with an edit that she asked me to hop on, just to try and play around with it, try to get it done for a certain festival that she wants to submit it to. So that's an editing project that I'm working on.
Fun. So hopefully it comes out good. I know the professor mentioned it to our class last semester, and I'm grateful that she was able to get you on board for this project. So we wish you the best of luck, Paula, on your upcoming projects, and hopefully you can share with us on social media, and hopefully we'll watch them. And that is it for our show today. Thank you for joining us, Paula, and showcasing us your talents. And we wish you the best of luck in your career.
Thank you for having me.
Well, everyone, this has been On the Rise, the Creative Pulse. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.